Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vedic religion. My work. I could have been anywhere in any village, in any town, doing my prayers, chanting, or meditating, or doing the rosary and things like that. I do not need the sort of funds as you are giving me in this city. I am of the firm opinion that this matam, that is the organization of which Periol was the head, should have very little money power and manpower. The power and strength of the matam is the worth and charishma of the man who heads the matam. Only that and nothing else. That is money and power and everything. So I have not come here sacrificing my chance of being alone for the money you people are giving. You people have a lot of love and respect for me. You feel happy that I have come. Accepting your invitation, your desire that I should visit you, and your happiness that I responded favorably are all your job. But there is a reason why I have come to your town, and that is my job. So, what is my job? My work or job or purpose of visiting you is to request you, exhort you, plead before you that Brahmins should not give up Vedas. I have come to say and assert and emphasize that somehow some method should be evolved to doubly ensure that Vedas, which is the root cause of all the ennobling principles of this culture, religion, and civilization, should not disappear with this generation, to emphasize that such a danger does exist now and we can ignore this only at our own peril. The origin-less Vedas should be retained in their original splendor eternally. This leading light, this torch, should be held high by the Brahmin as the torch bearer. This has to be done for the sake of all the people of the society and the world, for the sake of posterity. Brahminhood is not meant to hoodwink and dominate others. It is meant for the job of working as a torchbearer, spreading the light of Vedas, leading all the people, as the Vedas say. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityo ma amritam gamaya, om shanti shanti shanti. Meaning, lead me from the unreal unto real, from darkness unto light, from mortality unto immortality. Let there be peace, peace, and peace. So, I have come to beg the Brahmin community not to put off the light and thereby not only black out our lives but immerse the whole future in darkness. That is why I have been coming to the cities. Only in big towns, such big crowds in thousands flock to attend the function and listen to my lectures. Instead of myself sitting in some corner of the world talking to some few persons and they in turn conveying my message to others, in this sort of gatherings, I am able to tell thousands of people directly. For this advantage, I am accepting much shortfall in the flawless conduct of matam functions and rituals. Suffering some inconveniences myself, I am troubling all of you. From your side, in each portion of the city, you erect big pandals and make elaborate arrangements so as to make our stay comfortable. I also know that you take a lot of pains to set aside your other commitments so as to be able to attend my lectures. Under such conditions, I do not want to hurt your feelings by criticizing you, but neither do I want to spare you from certain amount of pain as otherwise. I will be failing to carry out my duty, having taken your money, if I do not tell you what I consider best for the well being of yourself and the society, then it would be a double failure on my part. That is why I am reiterating repeatedly, Please do your level best to protect the Vedas. Please observe and live by the Dharma, the code of conduct by which you are supposed to conduct your lives. I do not know whether I have the power to force and make you do so, as I am requesting. Whether I touch your heart or not, at the least, I am able to reach your ears. That I am doing. You are making arrangements for conducting Kanakabhishegam and Pita Aronaha Utsavam to me out of your immense love. You form committees, collect funds, and work day and night to make the functions a success. Kanakabhishegam is a ritual shower of gold coins on the Acharya as part of or separately, while celebrating his ascension to the post of Jagadguru. So, we can guess that this lecture must have been given in the early part of the last century, say in 1906. But the more important point of concern to me is as to how to ensure that such a function continues to be held for the acharyas who take over this job subsequently. Why should there be a matam if there is no Vedam? I beseech you, put in all this effort for a committee to discuss the various means of reviving the traditions of Veda Adhyanam and Veda Adhyapakam rather than just for this Kanaka Abhishegam and Pita Arohanam. I am ready to compromise to the extent that even if we are not able to make the children of the next generation have Veda as their lifetime profession, does not matter. Starting at the age of 8, for the next 10 years, daily for the period of 1 hour, let the children attend Veda classes in Adhyanam, including Prayoga or Applied Veda. Let these classes be conducted in a cooperative basis in each civic division of the city, township, or colony. Work out the modalities for organizing, staffing, funding, publicizing, accounting, and supervising such an arrangement that will be my true and genuine Kanakabhishekam. Nothing can be achieved without effort. When we decide on a plan of action, see how we become capable of tolerating, withstanding, and overcoming difficulties and hurdles. Think of how you leave no stones unturned when suddenly one day you read in the newspaper something like complete your MS in an Australian university. You decide that at the least your son should do what you could not. You get the syllabus, fill the application, arrange for the interview, organize the necessary funds, motivate the boy. Finally, one day it becomes that you have just done it, isn't it? So, similarly, you can get back to your original glory of Brahminhood, whatever the difficulties. More the difficulties, greater will be your satisfaction of overcoming them. I have come to hound you like this, for this purpose only. If you promise to do so as I have directed, then maybe I should remain here till you launch the project. Why not? I have to be somewhere troubling someone. Why not be here and trouble you? In towns, it's good to see an increase in activities such as conduct of bhajans, consecration of temples, lectures, pravahana of Puranas, and so on. But the root for all this is Veda. If that root is dried and decayed, all other branches and leaves of this great culture will wither and die. Veda should be received from father by son is the basement of this edifice. That has been forgotten that the whole of religion has been shaken. Brahmins leaving the Vedas have led to all the chaotic conditions in the world. I am not worried by the disappearance of a caste. I am concerned about the effect on universal well being. You protect the Vedas, and Vedas protect the protector. It is this protection that is vanishing. Once that happens, once Vedas are not being nurtured by Adhyanam and Adhyapakam, by a living hereditary tradition, It can never be recreated. It is this eventuality that I am really fearing. What I refer to as the lokakshemam, that is universal well being, is not only the local temporary benefits of the conduct of yagyas, all the people the world over get immense benefits by getting to know the ennobling universal grand concepts and grand thoughts of Vedanta, meaning the end or finer subtle points of Vedas, known as Upanishads. When foreigners came here, they wondered as to how a whole lot of people can sacrifice their entire life for the conservation of a set of books or scriptures. They analyzed and investigated it. They found the best ideas of any and every culture, all the gems of thoughts strung as in a precious necklace abundantly available in them. It is not only useful to a set of people in a particular place, but beyond all space and all time, useful universally and eternally. You will also come to this understanding if you study them. Their commonality of applicability contributes towards universal brotherhood for the entire humankind. It encourages pan religious equality. Without a set of people solely devoted for its sustained lifelong practice, how can the rest of the world become devoted to it? If we ourselves let the Vedas go by default, how can anyone else become interested in getting to know it? By our lackadaisical attitude, we will become culpable offenders of having denied others the access to it. So, for the sake of international humankind, it is the present generation's biggest responsibility. Instead of taking the necessary actions for this task, there is no sense in doing Kanaka Abhishekam for me. Then why did I agree for this Kanaka Abhishekam? I did this so that I can get all of you together and thereby have a captive audience to air my views on Vedas. Thus, I have satisfied my purpose, at least orally. If the present day hatred, ill feelings, and social anger is to go, then those with a lifetime task of Veda Samrakshanam have to do their duty while simultaneously living the life of peace loving sadhus. As people feel the pinch at the time of a social strike, they may not know the loss due to stoppage of Veda Samrakshanam immediately. But if you stand firm without vacillating over a period of time, people will come to realize the value of Veda Samrakshanam, and then the present hatred will turn into love. There will be as much or more respect then as there is disrespect now. Tamil Nadu has always been the cradle of Indian culture and Hindu Dharma. There was true education, devotion, and knowledge. Not only has it sired saints such as Tayum Anavar or Pattinattar or Hindu religion, but great seers such as Vedanaragam Pillai and Mastan Sahib have been the sons of the soil from our religions. South India is the abode of Vedas from time immemorial. Even at the end of Kali Yuga, it is said that Kalki Avatara is predicted to take place in Tirunelveli to uphold Veda. It is believed that Kalki will be born as a son of a Brahmin of unblemished character. In such a Tamil Nadu, there should not be and cannot be any anti Veda feeling whatsoever, and the key is with the Brahmin community. I have come to your town to tell you this. Discipline is an essential part of life. Life is not a random activity. Whatever restrictions are required to raise man to his real high level are clearly spelled out in our religion. The restrictions, as applicable to individuals and a group of people and the society as a whole. Restrictions on oneself and discipline are meant for control and order and not for the sake of just imposing or demonstrating one's will. The high ground around a lake holds the water within certain limits. If that is broken, there can be wastage of water and possibly damage to living areas. With control as applied through raga arohanam and avrohanam, swaras and the beat or tala, there is music. Without that control, there will only be noise and cacophony. Discipline, restrictions, and control are as an essential aspect of all human endeavors as well as nature. The funniest thing is that our religion, which has the maximum number of restrictions, has now become most loose and liberal. Under this situation, as the Brahmin is required to be a role model, I am endlessly talking like this in every city so as to apply some restrictions on him. Whether Brahmins think so or not, whether I think so or not, there is a general impression that Brahmins are under my control. So, if I apply some restrictions on them first, then and then only I will have the power to tell other communities their duties. So the Brahmins, by listening to me and doing as I demand, may please help me to fulfill my duties towards other communities. What am I telling you to do in short? I am only repeating what Adi Shankara Acharya said in a shloka of 5 stanzas as a summary of all his teachings known as Upadesha Panchakam. Just prior to leaving his mortal coil, the first sentence says, Vedo Nityamadhiyatam, meaning that the Vedas may be chanted every day. The Tamil poet Avayar said the same, Odamal Urunalum Irukka Vendam, meaning that let not a single day go by without chanting of the Vedas. The word Odudal in Tamil is the same as Adhyanam in Sanskrit, which refers to Vedas. Since the Vedas was to be chanted by hearing without resorting to reading and writing, the word Odudal came into being and evidently refers to the Brahmins only. Vedas themselves were known as Ottu. The word is also used in Tirukural. That is why a place where the Vedas sang the praise of the Lord, known as Vedapuri, was referred as Tiru Ur in Tamil. This chanting of Vedas should continue eternally. This service, which has gone on from time immemorial, should become a permanent service. To be able reach this message to all your ears, I am going from city to every city, incurring expenditure to all of you, giving trouble to you all. When I tell this to thousands of people, my desire is that it should at least reach some hearts and result in tangible action. Only after coming to city life from the village, the compulsion to go against one's own dharma was experienced. In cities, the play of modernization is felt more acutely. So I was avoiding the cities, sticking to the villages for some time. But the city dwellers kept insisting that I should visit the towns too. My reply was that I will visit their towns only if they come to adopt at least a little bit of the old methods. It does not matter if you do not come back to Veda Adhyanam totally. The torchbearers of the Vedas is required to have some recognizable in identification or marks, at least pick up some of the outer symbolic identifications. A peon or a Davali or a soldier has to have a uniform, is it not so? Similarly, a Brahmin should wear the dhoti in Panchakacham. He should have kudumi, the haircut in a particular style. He should apply some sacred ash on his forehead. This is not for showing off or any indication of superiority. This is to tell himself and others that he is a servant of the society, to indicate that he is to serve the Vedas. If you wear these signs, Then only I'll visit your towns, I said, and so I have come to you. I had told them that I would visit the cities only if Brahmins were ready to at least done some of the basic symbolic indications of Brahminhood, such as having ash smeared on the forehead, cutting the hair in Kudumi style, and wearing the veshti in Panjaka Chammod, not to indicate any superiority of caste, but only to show that they belong to a caste of people in service for the mankind's well-being. My demand was neither granted nor did they stop requesting me to visit. I told myself that despite their not being able to abide by my wishes, I cannot deny the fact that they evidently had lots of love. Let us give in, let me go and sit amidst them and put across my heart's desire and see if there is some response. After all, the organization of this matam is meant to point out their blemishes and faults and suggest remedial measures. Whether they listen to me or not, my job is to keep telling them. So saying, I acceded to their request. I started coming to the cities and towns. When people happily welcome me and erect welcome arches in each street corner with decorations and banners, I wonder if I should touch subjects that will hurt them. Everybody has many problems. In the condition that the world finds itself, there is no end to human suffering. For some time, they come here to forget their worries, to be happy in religious festivities. To them, if I say that this is wrong and this is your mistake, will it not be irritating? Should I simply make them happy? That is what I asked myself. Then I thought that after all, if temporary happiness is their aim, they could have gone to some cinema or drama. They could have invited some concert singers. If I come for money, I am bound to make them happy with suitable talks. But I am not coming for transient happiness. Matam does not need so much money. The more money I get, I have to think of conducting some sadhas or sadarpane, call some scholars and honor them to spend the additional money. With less money, I can spend my lifetime in villages. But my duty demands that I try and reach more and more people, as many of the masses, and tell them as to what is going wrong. That is the purpose of my existence. Having thought on the above lines, I came to the conclusion that whether the listeners of my talks do it in action or not, whether they like it or not, my duty is to tell them, Appa. Appa means father, and that is a way of addressing elders and youngsters alike in Tamil. This is what is good for your personal improvement as well as for the well being of the world. Please try and do what you can about it. This, I decided, is my duty to repeat endlessly and put it in as many people's ears as possible. Other than telling like this by word of mouth, I cannot punish. I do not have any powers to punish either. Even those parties which are saying that all the castes should be combined into one take disciplinary action to expel some people from their parties. Neither do I have such powers to excommunicate anyone from this religion, nor do I want such powers. I can only put it in your ears. That is the only right I am asking. I have come to say what I can, and I should not refrain from doing so. Somewhere, if someone starts listening to me and does as per my request, it is enough. That will grow into a huge movement. Don't totally unjustified organizations take root and grow huge from a small nucleus of 10 ragtag individuals. For a just cause like this, it is enough if a few people get together. It is in that hope that I am talking without giving up. Please do not conclude that I am disappointed with you all. The complicated compulsions of modern life are not unknown to me. Anything is easier getting into than getting out of. I know your dilemma. Despite all that, when I note that a Kumbhabhishekam, repair and consecration of temples, or bhajan, singing in praise of God, or pravachanam, a talk on the scriptures, is getting organized and I see the frequency increasing, I feel happy. Actually, I get motivated and encouraged by such information to tell you about the base foundation of Veda Dharma behind all this. Though there is enormous scope for much mistakes against the injunctions of scriptures today, though there is much fear of what the future can hold, I also see many indications of the revival of the Hindu religious beliefs here and there. Instead of crying over spilt milk, instead of fearing further decline, it is necessary to nurture the positive indicators that will enable shepherding the people who have gone astray in the right direction. With this hope, I am telling you of our traditional age old methods. I am not saying that just because it is old, it is the best. But just because it is old, it also not reason enough to discard it, calling it useless. Just because something is old or new, one should not adopt it or leave it. Test its usefulness and then decide to leave it or adopt it. We should take what is good and discard what is bad. Whether it is old or new, should be the attitude. That is what Mahakavi Kalidasa says. I feel reluctant of pointing out what is wrong in the so called modern approach and way of life. I talked of other subjects such as bhakti, jnanam, culture, etc. They are okay, but they are all like the branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits of a tree. There is a root for all that. That is the Vedas. Without the root being taken care of, the Veda Samrakshanam, nothing else can survive. Leaving this subject of nurturing and protecting the Vedas, nothing else interests me. Since I have been talking to you all these days, many other subjects, I have developed some self confidence and familiarity with you all. My hesitancy to talk about Kural, your Kurai deficiency in not living up to your required standards is less now. After all is said and done, I have come for this purpose only. Since you have done your bit about welcoming me, now I can and will talk to you about Veda Samrakshanam. For this, in addition to all that you have done so far, like Vinoba Bhave, I am asking for a donation. Other than saying that each man who calls himself a Brahmin should do Adhyanam and make his son do the same, I have another important request. This request is even more important. That is that the existing Veda Patshalas, which are breathing their last, have to be protected from the imminent risk of closure and made to run efficiently again. For this purpose, the teachers and students have to be given cash assistance. We have to find funds for that. More such schools have to be opened. The root Vedas have to be taught. Then the meaning of the Veda mantras, as given in the Bhashyams, have to be covered. Having tutored them, the students should be tested for proficiency. The students have to be paid stipend during the learning stage. Once the student passes his exams, he should be given substantial monetary assistance as related to his performance. We have to do this if Vedas are to survive. We need capital for all this. There are some trusts for this. Many have donated lands. I have accepted land being donated like Vinoba Bhave did. Now, some land ceiling limits have been imposed. So I am asking for money. That is, each one of you thinking of me since I am the one asking for it. Put 1 rupee in a hundi on the birth star day. From that hundi on your birthday, send 12 rupees to Veda Rakshana Nidhi once a year. These subscribers will receive on their birth star day every month Vibhuti, Kumkum and Mantra Akshadai. If you send this every year, Chandramaulishwara Prasadam will reach your house on your birthday every year. You have many expenses. I am asking 1 rupee a month. If you do this on the analogy of small drops make the ocean, Veda Samrakshanam will receive a boost. My priority is to take the necessary actions to ensure nurturing of the Vedas for the future generations. If you ask me why, my answer is this. As long as there is Veda mantra chanting, the sound of Vedas will protect the benefit humanity. This will not only cause periodic rains and agricultural sufficiency, but also enabling thought creation in people's minds. If the world has to come to know that Vaidika Dharmam is not restricted to some people of some corner of the world and the benefits accruing is universal in intention and effect, through this, if we are to have unity and peace in the whole world, cutting across continents and religions in our country, we have to have a set of people who have dedicated their whole life for this purpose and will continue to do so for this purpose. This is so that today and forever, not only for our country, but for the whole world, a salubrious environment and individual Atma Shanti will prevail. That is why I am emphasizing Veda Samrakshanam. In the next generation, there should not be a single Brahmin who has not studied the Vedas. This is not so that he can lord over others. He has a responsibility unmatched by anything in the past. For the future of mankind, he has this not so enviable task of protecting the Vedas. How can a small set of people sitting in some corner of the world do this for all? If that is your question, let me give you an example. There is a powerhouse, say with a staff of 4 people. The whole city is lighted because of those 4. To hold the divine torch of Veda high, some people are enough. I have this and no other task. That is why I accepted your invitation. There has been much loud chanting of Hara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara these past few days. Maybe by this I thought of getting an opportunity to reach your ears and hearts. You have to listen to me. You have to make an effort to do as per my request. You do so many things for yourself, office, business, entertainment, and passing time. Do this for my sake. For my sake, protect the Vedas. Why this difference of you and me? We are all one. My job is your job. Veda Samrakshanam is the only job by doing which you get all the benefits and I get the name.